Barons' colonies and the city of Jerusalem. Herzl, who was a journalist and playwright, devotes himself to writing a book that describes a future Palestine based on his vision, a cultural, industrial, and socially ethical state. But in 1904, 2 years after the publication of Old New Land, he passes away. Akiva Weiss, a follower of Herzl, receives the news of Herzl's death while aboard a ship to Palestine. He decides to immigrate to the land of Israel with his family, including his youngest, Herzl. Weiss's dream was to create a model Hebrew city. In a pamphlet published in 1906, he wrote, "Just as the city of New York forms the main gate of entry into America, so we must enhance our city, so that in time it will become the Israeli New York." That same year, Weiss creates the Achuzat Bayit Association in view of building a Hebrew garden city outside the narrow and stifling alleys of Jaffa. In 1909, on the sand dunes northeast of Jaffa, the city founders raffle off the plots for their houses. The new neighborhood is designed in the spirit of Herzl's dream: wide streets, a boulevard, central sewage, and running water. The main street is called Herzl Street, and the school that will educate the Hebrew youth is named Gymnasia Herzliya. In May 1910, members of the Achuzat Bayit convened to discuss the name of the new neighborhood. Schenken suggests the name Tel Aviv, based on the Hebrew translation of Old New Land. The word Tel implies the old, and the word Aviv symbolizes the new. The proposal is accepted, and in 1911, Mayor Dizengoff is elected as head of the Tel Aviv neighborhood community. Mayor Dizengoff builds his home on the plot he won through the raffle. This is the house in which you are now located. The growth of Tel Aviv was temporarily cut short during World War I, and in 1917, the British occupied the land of Israel. Under the regime of the British Mandate, Tel Aviv is becoming a city, and Mayor Dizengoff is appointed its mayor. The Dizengoff House becomes a central site in the city's public life, hosting prominent Jewish figures as well as heads of the British regime. In the late 1920s, a story is added to the house, and public activities therein expand. Dizengoff, who dreamed of a business and cultural center that would symbolize the concept of Jewish independence, promotes the Hebrew theaters and an opera house. In 1930, Dizengoff's wife Sina passes away. He donates his house to establish an art museum in her memory. Another story is added to the house, as well as a new facade. The museum officially opened in 1936 with a festive celebration under the auspices of the High Commissioner. 6 months after the museum opening, Mayor Dizengoff passes away. In his will, he asks the residents of Tel Aviv to preserve his youngest, the museum. As a youth in Poland, David Ben-Gurion dreamed of an Israeli revival. Following the Balfour Declaration in 1917, he writes, "A country is not acquired, but with agonizing labor and creation, construction, and settlement." In the early 20s, Ben-Gurion devoted himself to public enterprising and quickly became a prominent Jewish leader. In 1936, the Zionist Congress elects him as chairman of the Executive Committee of the Jewish Agency. In 1939, due to the restrictions on settling and on the entry of Jews into the land of Israel, Ben-Gurion declares resistance against the British. This resistance includes the immigration organization and the establishment of settlements in forbidden locations. Following World War II, Ben-Gurion is granted the defense portfolio by the Jewish Agency. As such, he works hard to acquire weapons and transform the Haganah into an army. November 29, 1947. the United Nations General Assembly decides to end the British mandate in Palestine and divide the country into an Arab and Jewish state.
United Kingdom, abstain. United States, yes. Paraguay, yes. The resolution of the Dutch Committee for Palestine was adopted by 33 votes, 13 against, 10 abstentions.
The Arabs reject the UN plan altogether. The Jews excitedly celebrate the fulfillment of a dream of the Jewish state. The following day, war breaks out. The Arabs focus their attacks on roads leading to Jewish settlements, while the Jews focus on defense and retaliation. Towards the end of the mandate, and fearing that Arab armies will invade Israel, the Zionist leadership establishes the Provisional State Council as temporary parliament for the state in the making. On May 12, 1948, a discussion is held pertaining to the proposal of American Foreign Minister George Marshall to postpone the declaration of the new state in fear of an Arab army invasion that is liable to destroy it. Ben-Gurion knows that the invasion is inevitable and convinces his friends of the need to take advantage of the historic opportunity and declare the establishment of the state. The declaration is planned for Friday, May 14, 1948, just before the mandate ends. Since Jerusalem is besieged, the Provisional State Council decides to conduct the ceremony at the museum in Tel Aviv. The ceremony invitations are secretly sent out, asking the guests to arrive the following day at 3:30. The ceremony is organized swiftly. The main wall is covered in cloth. Israeli flags hang on it, while the other walls are adorned with pieces of art from the museum collection. Noontime Friday. Time is of the essence. The ceremony must end before the Sabbath. 2 hours before the ceremony, the Provisional Council is still contemplating the final version of the declaration. Finally, 1 hour before the ceremony, the wording is approved. The streets outside the building are already crowded with people who have received the word. The ceremony begins at 4 o'clock sharp. David Ben-Gurion reads the long-awaited words.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל. היא מדינת ישראל.
Ben-Gurion is the first to sign the declaration. The Voice of Israel broadcasts the event, and throngs of people joining the emotional singing of Hatikvah. Declaration platform, among the flags of the newly born state, a place of honor is reserved for the man who dreamed the state. The man who wrote, "If you will it, it is no dream."